In Automa, if you want to read data from an Excel worksheet, you need to use Read Excel Worksheet. Before we dive into this command, let's first review the core features of an Excel worksheet and a few common reading methods. Excel worksheets have two core dimensions, rows and columns. Rows are labeled with numbers 1, 2, 3, and columns are labeled with letters A, B, C. You can locate a specific row using its row number. For example, the third row is all the data in that row of the table. You can locate a specific column using its column name. For example, column B is all the data in that column. By combining a row number plus column name, you can pinpoint a single cell. For example, third row, column B maps to cell B3. By combining a top left cell plus bottom right cell, you can locate a data range. For example, B3 to D6 stands for the rectangular range from cell B3 to cell D6. Let's use this iPhone 17 series price table as an example to show you how to use Read Excel Worksheet in detail. Before reading the data, you first need to get the context. For ease, I'll use Get Open Excel Workbook here to grab the Excel object. Read Excel Worksheet has reading methods like cell, row or column, and range. We'll demo each one below. First, select the cell option, which requires filling in the row number and column name. Let's say we want to read the data in B6. Set row number to 6. Column names can be letters or numbers, so we'll put B here. If you don't specify a worksheet, it'll default to the active Excel worksheet. Hit Print to show the result. And you'll get the text 1 terabyte. Next, let's try reading a row or column. First, switch to the row option. We'll still read the 6th row, then click Done. After running it, it'll print the 6th row list correctly. And that's clearly a one-dimensional list. You probably noticed $13.99 got converted to a decimal. That's because when reading Excel, numbers are shown as decimals by default. If you want to read it exactly as it looks, use the Read Cells as Displayed option in Advanced Settings. This converts numbers to strings. By default, it'll convert the entire selected range, but you can also specify specific columns. Just keep in mind, if you need to do calculations later, you'll have to convert it back to a number. Run it again, and it'll print 1,399 inches correctly. Then switch to the column option, read column B, and click Done. After running it, all the contents of column B will be printed. Likewise, it is also a one-dimensional list. Finally, let's try reading a range. There are two ways to do this: range and used range. First, switch to range. As we mentioned earlier, locating a specific range means specifying the coordinates of the top left and bottom right cells. If you want to read all model data for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, set the top left cell to A10. The bottom right cell can be set directly to C13 or represented as -1, -1. Click Run. And expand the output results. You'll see all content wrapped in square brackets, data items separated by commas, and each data item is itself a list. That's clearly a two-dimensional list, and it matches Excel's data structure perfectly. A quick note: when reading a range, no matter if the selected scope is a row, a column, or a single cell, the data structure you'll get is always a two-dimensional list. If you want to read all the data in the current table's used range, just set the starting cell to 1, 1, and the ending cell to -1, -1. After running, you'll get a two-dimensional list that stores all the data. There's another shortcut too: switch to used range. This also gets all the data stored as a two-dimensional list, and the results from both methods are exactly the same. Besides manually entering the coordinate info for the target cell, row, column, or range we mentioned earlier, you can also click the Select in Excel button to select directly in the target Excel file. For example, click cell B6 with your mouse, then hit OK. The corresponding coordinate information will generate automatically. Similarly, you can also select a specific row, column, or data range directly, and the system will fill in the coordinates accordingly. In the advanced settings, besides read cells as displayed, there's also the trim cell content option. For example, if you manually add a few spaces in cell B6, reading it directly will include those spaces. Once you check trim cell content and run it again, the system will automatically remove those meaningless white space characters. Use the Write to Excel worksheet command to write data to Excel. Depending on your needs, you can choose different writing ranges, including a specified range, a specific row, or a specific column. First, let's look at writing a row, and assume the starting column is A. Append a row adds data based on the last row in Excel, which means writing to the second row of the table. Reading row data outputs a one-dimensional list, and writing a row also requires providing a one-dimensional list. Turn on expression mode and enter 1, 2, 3, 4. After running it, the data will be appended to the second row as required. If you run it again, it'll write to the third row. That's the append effect. Insert a row inserts data into a specified row. For example, insert 5, 6, 7, 8 inches into the third row. After running it, the data will be written to the third row, and the original third row will shift down by 1. Overwrite a row is straightforward. It overwrites existing data. For example, use 9, 10, 11, 12 to overwrite the data in row 4. After running it, the original 1, 2, 3, 4 will be overwritten as 9, 10, 11, 12. Writing a column also has 3 methods: append a column, insert a column, and overwrite a column. And the results are the same as writing a row. The content you need to write is also a one-dimensional list, so we won't do extra demonstrations here. Lastly, writing to a specified range means specifying the starting cell position. That's the top left cell of the range. The content can be a single value or a list. If you provide a single value, it'll write that value directly to the specified starting cell. For example, set the starting position to row 5, column A, and write 13. After running it, 13 inches will be correctly written to row 5, column A of the table. If you provide a two-dimensional list, it'll start writing from the starting cell and follow the positions in the list. For example, set the starting cell to row 5, column B, and use the content 14, 15, 16, 17. After running it, 14, 15, 16, and 17 will be written to B5, C5, B6, and C6 respectively. It's important to note that Excel might convert the format of the content you're writing. For example, when you write a long number, it may display in scientific notation. If you don't want the written content to be affected, you can select Column Set as Text in the advanced settings and separate multiple columns by comma. Besides long numbers, dates, times, and other types of content might also have their formats converted.